on for about 20 minutes since the police started the chase. And,
hey guys, today we're gonna be watching police around driver on NASA bypass after high-speed chase. So let's get into it now.
Which is not surprising.
And it also
Bam, let's get into it now.
slow down at this point. This has gotten much slower in the
This has
past
gotten
30 seconds or so because that vehicle's literally
gotten much slower for the past 30 seconds or so for the last few minutes because that car, if he can drive that well on three wheels.
I see there on the feeder road some officers there also following that. But Don, just so
and that's a Nissan truck.
This chase probably following this about 6 to 7 minutes ago, and somehow this driver is still able to keep going at a decent speed.
It is truly amazing, and you know, you would think that if he can drive this well on three wheels, that he would go faster. I don't know, but I don't know what the thought process is here to begin with. So you just never know with these chase vehicles. I don't understand the purpose of all of this.
With chase vehicles, the purpose of all of this.
In pursuit and at a decent pace, 60 miles an hour or so.
Yeah,
so,
60 miles an hour.
I really understand the chases, and I'm also wondering, there's probably helicopters up there with you as well. Have you seen any police or county helicopters
over
up
there
keeping up as well?
the driver following that vehicle. Police following that driver. That's a Galveston police.
This is Galveston police that are chasing him, and I mentioned to you earlier that it was coming out of Galveston County, so not exactly sure if this was
this has been going on for about the past 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase, and they're staying on it now.
Continue the chase right now on
and they're into 30 minutes into the police chase. It's been going on for the past 20 to 30 minutes or so since the police started this chase, and they're continuing on, and it looks like that there's sparks flying, and there's no fire sooner or
police chase as they follow this truck. This is now down near Clear Lake, I-45
sooner or later,
it started on
will.
the freeway down near El Dorado, went all the way up into the city of Houston, turned around pretty close to Hobby Airport. The person exited the freeway, basically made a U-turn under it, and got right back on. This vehicle has not had a left front tire since we have been following the chase, and now also has no left front wheel either. Headed back down south toward Galveston on I-45, now down near Clear Lake, and amazingly picking up speed at this point, Dawn. I thought that we were basically wrapping things up about 2 minutes ago, and it looks like they've managed to pick speed right back up again, and the sparks are still flying.
And there's no fire, at least the one that's visible right now, but sooner or later it will.
This one is visible sooner or later.
Back of the car, so something in there is burning besides scraping on the ground. So it's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time.
I'm surprised that we don't have spike strips put out ahead of this. I understand that the freeway still has regular traffic on it, but
the freeway has still.
I would imagine that the driver of this vehicle is going to pull off of the freeway, or at least off to the side once it's incapable.
Regular traffic like this.
We don't know
who
is driving this vehicle.
I don't know when they try to lay out some spike strips.
And we don't know if this driver could potentially be armed, but you can see authorities in Galveston County, as Don mentioned, really making that decision to stay far behind this. We are now officially in traffic here, Don. We are coming up on vehicles that are stopped on the freeway. It looks like the truck has decided to exit at this point, and yep, we have exited off of the freeway once again. We'll be on the feeder road in just a moment. Or is this NASA Road 1? I'm trying to figure out.
Looks like NASA Road 1, I think he got off on. Is it, Don? And as he's driving, you can just see pieces of the car, of that truck.
It's called the NASA bypass.
Got you. And like I was saying, you can just see pieces of the truck still coming off as his driver is making his way up the road. And Don, it seems like you can't get a clear picture as inside this truck. It looked like the windows may be tinted.
Yeah, I was trying to look in there to see myself. The windows are rolled up, the windows are tinted. Obviously, the engine's running and the air conditioning is on, so I hope that they're comfortable. It appears that way. Don't see any more sparks, so I'm not exactly sure what the truck is riding on that left front, but it certainly is on the undercarriage of the truck. The Nissan Frontier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surprised that he's even able to
Nissan
maneuver.
Frontier?
It's amazing, right? I mean, I'm just shocked that a vehicle can continue driving for this long, and we are seeing some flames coming from under that hood. So that's what Don was talking about. Some of those were sparks that we were seeing down on the ground, but when the lighting is right, it looks like there are actually some flames coming from underneath the vehicle as well. And if we got that shadow back on it, we would see it. You can see how squirrely the vehicle is. Now we've got a window down.
And you see
the window down.
There out of the truck. Like he's saying, go back, or the person is saying, stay back, stay back. But you see that truck coming to a stop there once again.
And
this
you
is
see
on
that truck
bypass.
coming.
You see officers there surrounding.
Sparks flying underneath the truck.
Even though he's out of the window saying, stay back.
Yeah, and you know obviously
and you see
those,
the truck is coming to a stop.
Follow the orders of this vehicle driver.
They'll follow the orders of that vehicle driver
and endangering people's lives on the
and
freeway.
endangering people's lives on danger.
We don't know if
Like,
this person might be armed.
we don't know if that person might be armed. The truck was missing that front tire. We don't know when it all started, what happened with the wild chase that was.
Hopefully for this person to give themselves
We don't know if they.
in the meantime, they're
I'm not sure if they put out.
be very cautious
If
and not knowing
they
exactly
put
what
out
they're dealing with
some
here.
spike
You
strips.
see his arm.
Johnson, it is Galveston Police.
And there's Galveston
County Sheriff's
PD
Office.
cruisers.
So,
and
it looks
there's
like there may be some constables
as well.
So a lot of different agencies involved in this pursuit. And I just have to throw out there that this may be, not sure, this may be a female driver. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to have to wait and see. But we're going to find out here very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, Don, I noticed some
We're
kind
gonna
of
find out in a minute.
We're
sure.
The last few seconds.
The last few seconds. We're gonna find out in a minute. In the next minute or two, we're gonna find out. So we're finding out now. We're finding out. We're gonna find out right now what happened earlier. They give you a recap earlier. What happened?
Still trying to get something across.
Okay, it's 6:38. Okay, we got time. So we're gonna give you a perspective. They're gonna give you a perspective. Look, what happened earlier. Perspective. We're gonna give you a perspective. Look, what happened when the wild. What happened when the wild chase that was soon? We're gonna find out in a minute. Next couple of hours or soon. We'll see.
I know that people are thinking, well, why can't we look real closely at the driver? Because we don't know what's going to happen here. And we don't want to show something on television that we really don't want to show. So I'm keeping kind of a wide shot here so you can see what's going on without getting too graphic about it.
Absolutely. We always try to be really careful about a situation like this. Just like those deputies and officers are being so careful, they are keeping their distance right now. They are all staying in safe places as they really are trying to bring this to a peaceful end and not escalate the situation. So, they are out of their vehicles and they're just taking their time as they wait for this to play out and giving this person some time and space here as they negotiate exactly how they are going to handle this situation. But you can see quite a bit of distance. They did not rush in. They didn't get those vehicles right up. It looks like the person is hanging out the window and perhaps communicating with them. As Don said, we don't want to get too close because we want to keep our distance on this shot. We don't know what's going to happen next, but certainly just a moment ago, I could see that window was still down. And I could
during
see that person,
during the chase, and the sparks were flying underneath.
Yeah,
it was flying
this is one of those situations where they're trying to
and at least the spring has come off. At least no fire. Sooner or later, but it ended.
Backing up a ways in the other direction.
In the other direction.
Maybe
either
to stop that traffic, right?
Yeah, and make sure that nobody else is
They've
getting
been
too close
stopped
to
in
this
traffic
situation.
Yeah, I was
for
surprised
about
that they had
10
not
minutes.
stopped the traffic on that
And
side
then
of the
one
road,
point the driver
especially dealing with how
is
close it is in proximity
stopping,
with where this truck has come
and
to
the
a stop here.
Galveston
You see
PD
the officers there on scene,
office
just telling
on
people to keep
scene.
going and get on across to pass this scene, because at this point
They are
they don't
passing
know
the
what's going to
scene.
happen. They don't know what's going to play out here in the coming
What's going to
seconds or
play
minutes. They
out?
don't know
What's going to happen?
go down here. They don't know
Truck
much about this this
lost
driver
parts
and what's the driver's
during
next
chase.
move. Right now, we don't even know if this is a man or a woman inside, Don.
That's right, Chauncey. I've been on too many of these, and we've always just assumed that it is a male, and I have been on some that turn out to be female. And the way that the chase proceeded, going about 60 miles an hour, tells me that this may be a female. Just a gut feeling.
Well, look at this police response as we take a look at this wider shot here. This gives you an idea of just how many officers and deputies were chasing after this vehicle. It looks like about a dozen of them right here in this spot. And Don, did they manage to get all traffic stopped on the other side? It does look like it. I'm not seeing vehicles going by at this point. Yeah, so they've stopped all traffic, and they're making sure that nobody gets caught in the middle of this, what could be a bad situation. So definitely making a good call there to just keep the public away, keep everybody safe while they wait for this to come to an end, and obviously giving themselves the time they need to make sure that this is not a rushed situation here.
You know, I just want to throw in there that this may be some sort of a domestic dispute that this person has had with their mate. You just never know. They might not be armed. Of course, the police don't necessarily know that, and they have to treat it like the person is armed. There is something going on here.
They had to treat him like a person.
The police do not seem to have their guns drawn on
They
that
do not
car.
have to see, any guns
obviously behind their
drawn.
cars, so they are protected in case someone does pull a weapon. But they are not at this point in that kind of a defensive mode, like they've been shot at or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of officers or deputies outside of their vehicle. They are staying in relatively safe places, but I do see them moving around. I do see them in front of those vehicles from time to time, and perhaps they're trying to communicate with the person in this truck. You know, just really it's difficult to tell exactly what's happening there on the ground. And as we continue to remind our viewers, we don't want to get too close into this shot. We're trying to give you the idea of what's going on as we watch this all play out live. We never know how these are going to end. Again, this is a chase that started on the Gulf Freeway, way down south.
It started on the Gulf,
went up
Gulf
the city,
Freeway,
and then
I-45,
exited near Hobby Airport.
Truck missing the front tire. It's missing the front tire. Missing.
Off of the NASA bypass.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to you later. Later on.
This is a vehicle that did not have
this
a
video.
front left tire.
Bye, guys.
From the moment we picked it up. This was a 30-plus minute chase. Not particularly high speed. Freeway exited at
Hey guys, today we're watching Police Around
the NASA bypass road here.
Driver on NASA bypass road. So after high speed chase. So let's get into it now. Let's finish watching.
This was a 30-plus minute chase. Not particularly high speeds, but also certainly not slow speeds. And this driver managed to keep it going.
Hope that I'm able to edit this video.
Really without a left front
so that was a 30 plus 30. That was a 30 plus minute chase.
Before our very eyes. But it didn't necessarily
so that's a 30 plus
like
minute
this
chase.
Made the decision to stop
and the driver made a decision
the vehicle was still
stop.
moving when
and
the
vehicle was still moving.
And an arm hung out, and it looked like they were giving
the arm hung up.
Stay back,
was giving up.
pulled the vehicle over. Thankfully, there hasn't been a vehicle fire, guys, because it certainly looked like it was likely with all of the smoke and flames that we saw coming out of that car, right?
Right, yeah, it was. And, Dawn, I'm looking at the scene,
no vehicle
and
fire,
the big
guys.
police response here. Of course, they are in an on-guard stance, just preparing
They're
for what is to come here as the uncertainty builds. But also, I see some officers in the back who are in a more relaxed standpoint. You've covered, like you said, a ton of these. Does it look like they may have some intel that maybe this person may not be as dangerous as we might think?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, Chauncey, that there's some sort of,
and that was the
hostage-type
thinking that
negotiation style
the
going
police
on.
were chasing for about
talk to the driver,
20
calm
minutes.
them down, get
They
them
were
to come out
chasing
of the
that vehicle
car.
for about
The driver has not
20
obviously
for about
done that
20
yet,
minutes
and
or
we're just
so
going to sit here and
since
wait
the
till
police
that
started
happens.
this
But
chase.
it appears as though I don't see any guns drawn.
And it appears that
Everybody's
he's
kind of
going. I don't see any guns
waiting for
drawn.
the lead sheriff's deputy, or I guess it's Galveston County that
I
we
guess
picked up,
it's Galveston
or
County.
Galveston City police officer that was leading the chase, and he would be having that conversation with
He
the
would be
driver,
having a
trying to get them to
conversation
negotiate
with that driver
out of
to
their car.
negotiate whether or not the driver is being under, I don't know, the influence.
Did have his or her hand out of the window.
Does his have or her out of her hand out of the window? That's a 58-year-old woman in a truck.
The driver did the same
The Galveston police arrive on the scene.
Hey, stand back, and then the window.
Hey, stand back, stand back. Don't get too close to that tear gas.
The windows of this truck are tinted,
And
but you see the
purple balls.
big police response there as they are trying
Big
to get this
police
situation
response.
under control. I see the window going back down, and it seems like the driver may be trying to communicate something to these officers on scene.
They're trying to communicate something. They're trying to communicate something to the officers.
Like I said,
I'm gonna let you
police are
listen
in
there.
such a position here that they don't seem to be threatened at all. And as you mentioned, the driver does seem to bring the window down and then talk with them and then put the window back up.
Yeah, it does look like there's some officers or deputies that are pretty close to the sides of their vehicle and even up near the front of one of them that's kind of parked in that middle lane, not necessarily standing behind cover. And so, we certainly have seen them in more defensive modes in other situations, and it does seem to be that, obviously they're all taking a lot of care, but
taking a lot of care, safety precautions.
And I do think that I'm seeing that person also kind of hanging out of the truck from time to time.
The window goes back up.
Yeah, it does seem
The
like
window goes
that
back
window was
up.
down and there was some communication happening there. So they're again taking their time with this. All traffic, of course, stopped, not just in this direction, but the other. We saw a deputy head to the other side there and get traffic totally stopped in the other direction. This is on the NASA bypass road. Just as we widen up, you can see this is where everybody's been forced to stop here, just keeping everybody at a safe distance. Unfortunately for those drivers, they're stuck. There's no way for them to turn around and go in a different direction because there's a divider in the roadway. We can see some of the deputies on the other side using that divider as a barrier. And as sort of a safe wall there, but that means that traffic is stuck. So if you're in the area, this is going to give you some idea of what's going on. They've just been stopped for about 10 minutes there now, and hopefully they are able to
just
get
been
this
stopped
to a
in the
peaceful
traffic for 10
resolution
minutes.
very
For
quickly.
10 minutes.
But they certainly have the
now.
manpower on the
They've
scene
been
to handle
stopped
this.
in traffic
And
for
it's amazing
about
to see all those SUVs.
for
Usually we
10
see police
for
cruisers,
10
we
minutes.
think of those cars that would follow along in a chase like this. But Galveston County seems to have a whole lot of SUVs down there to follow along, because that is most of what we are seeing involved in this particular chase, with a couple of the more traditional cruisers thrown in there, but at least a dozen different vehicles. And they stayed very calm the whole time and stayed behind the vehicle.
They've been stopped for
and just
10 minutes
for it to play out, and that's exactly what happened.
10 minutes
we don't
or
ever
so.
know how things are going to play out if they decide to take more aggressive measures to stop a chase, and it's probably a very difficult decision to make when it's all playing out live on freeways, because you worry about the safety of every other driver that's out there, especially when you've got somebody driving on a rim or even on the frame of a vehicle, which means it's not going to handle well.
This has been going on for the last 40 minutes, and they've been stopped in traffic for about 10 minutes.
In this case, using that patience
about 40 minutes later,
the
it ended.
thing to do, and we've come to a quiet end here as long
It came
as
to a
they can get
quiet
this driver
end.
out of the vehicle.
And we watched this truck
To be
just.
honest with you guys, I have to tell you that they couldn't have played out at a better
They could
location.
play it out at a better.
Part of the freeway, this NASA bypass, there are no feeder roads leading up to this
There's
portion
no
of the
feeder roads
bypass,
leading
and
up,
there's no way to get off.
leading
it's
up
fenced
to
in,
the
as you can
portion.
see. So really, as far as public safety is concerned, this is a good place for this to come to an end.
Yeah, it is. And we watched this car, this truck drive, and literally pieces of it just falling apart. Of course, that wheel down to the axle, and the fire coming from under it. And after the driver even lost the tire, still going at
After the
good
driver
rate of
lost
speed
the
there.
tire,
And we've talked
drove
to,
on for
police
miles,
before,
miles,
and how they handle
miles,
situations like
for
this. And we
miles,
know, it's very
for
strategic, and they
miles,
really want to try to
for
get as much
for
intel and
miles.
information about who may be behind the wheel
Who may
of
be
the truck
behind the
before they
wheel.
decide to make any major decisions, or before they decide to go aggressive as they can, or even how they approach the driver, how they approach the truck here. But you see, Don, we've been talking about here the sort of the posture that it seems relaxed, and most of the deputies, most of these officers there on scene,
Most of the officers here on the scene, what happened when the wild chase
we know for the past few minutes, since the car took a rolling stop there, that driver has been rolling down the window, gesturing back to those officers. You see that officer now running back there to the truck there. So it seems like that they have had some kind of communication
sort of
with that driver.
What if
and once again,
the
we're
driver
staying
lost
a good
the
distance
driver
away
lost
and not zooming
tire,
in to show,
drove on
because right
for
now there's so much
miles.
uncertainty. We don't know how
What
this will
happened
play
is
out. Of
when
course,
the
we're all
wild
hoping,
chase,
that everything
that
plays out and
was
turns out safely here. But Don
a
Armstrong,
dramatic
in the past,
end. You
we
can
know
see
officers try to be very strategic in
many
the way
cop cars
that they approach this
that was
car, and
the
sometimes it
Galveston
can
police.
take
They've been
a while
stopped
before things play
now
out.
for 10 minutes
Could be,
at
it could be
least.
an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 10 minutes. We just don't
It could
know
be
at this
10.
point. Clearly, they are having
It could be 2 hours or
negotiations with that
10 minutes.
person that's
It
driving
could be
the car,
10 minutes.
that's behind the wheel that
10
won't
minutes,
come out.
okay.
Why the person won't
10
come out,
minutes
not
later,
sure.
It could be 2 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours,
as well as
or
the police as well. I mean,
an hour,
they don't
10
know,
minutes,
if
an
the
hour,
person has
about
a weapon in there or not.
maybe 10
so
minutes,
everybody's got to play this
so
extra safe.
it could be 10
There's
minutes.
no rush.
They've been
On
stopped now
anybody's
for
part here
10
to get
minutes.
this over with. Clearly, the police
They've
don't
been
want to
stopped
rush
now
up
for
to the
about
door.
10 minutes,
Should the
for
person
about
have a gun,
10
not
minutes.
pointed at the
Now,
police,
earlier
but at
on,
themselves. They just don't know what goes on in negotiations.
what
like
goes
this.
on in the negotiations.
Yeah, we did see some activity.
We did
as
not
you guys
see some
mentioned just a
activity
minute ago.
just a
It looked
few
like,
minutes ago,
yeah, there's sort of a
just
change
about
of
10
stance.
minutes
There were
ago,
some
5 or 10
officers or
minutes,
deputies running
5 or
back toward
10
their
minutes.
vehicles. We do have,
Yeah, it
looks like
started
a
about
cruiser that might
just
be
about 5
turning
or
around and trying to leave.
5 or
But boy, trying to get
10
through this
minutes,
mess is
5
going
or
to take
10
some time.
minutes,
This is what
5
happens
or
when you close
5
off
or
a road
10
like this.
minutes or
It's 7
so
p.m. This is a
ago.
vehicle.
I
This is a
should say
roadway
5 or
with
10 minutes
barriers,
ago.
so you can't
It
get
began in
out of
Galveston
it
about 5
once
or
you
10
get
minutes
in it.
or
And Dawn, this is some
5 or 10
traffic here.
minutes ago. It ended in the
Yeah, Dawn is
Lake
widening up, showing us the
beginning
traffic on
Galveston
I-45.
about
Again,
5
those are
or
the
10 minutes
southbound lanes that we
5 or
just
10.
saw,
It's
and then this is the
started
exit
about
to
5 or
NASA
10
Road,
minutes
the
ago
NASA
or so.
bypass, rather. All the way up to where the chase is here. This is
It
the
ends
traffic
here.
in the other direction. So this is headed toward the freeway, basically westbound on the NASA bypass as people try to get onto the freeway. And you can see a major backup there as well. It's probably pretty difficult to get the word all the way back there that this is not a good spot to get into. These people could be stuck for quite some time. There's not really an effective way to get them out of the way once they're stuck in this position. Dawn mentioned there's a fence on one side and there's a barrier, so there's no way for these people to pull a U-turn and get out of all of this traffic. So we've got plenty of folks stuck for a while, but that's not going to impact the negotiations that are taking place right here. They're going to take the time that they need to take right now. And so unfortunately for all of the drivers stuck in traffic, there's just not a lot they can do but be patient right now on a Friday evening. Not what they were expecting to run into, Chauncey.
Right. And Dawn, I don't know if you can show us a different perspective, backing up a little bit, but I know we have two different sort of blockades, if you will, and I don't know if some cars ended up getting stuck closer here to the scene where police are, or if they pushed those cars back a little bit. I see that wrecker driver right there trying to turn around. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. You have some, those are, I guess, I'm guessing, Dawn, there were regular drivers who ended up being right behind this chase whenever that truck decided to come to their rolling stop here. Is that what it seemed like to you?
That's right. Yes, Chauncey. As a matter of fact, I believe that this is the lead civilian car there. It's
the
right
lead
next to
civilian car.
They're going to try to get that car out.
Right.
We're going to get that vehicle out.
Because
and there's a tow truck.
It's not really a safe place because they don't know how this is going to turn out. None of us do.
Now they arrive on the scene. About 10 minutes later, they stop. They've been stopped now for about 10 minutes. For about 10 minutes. For about 10 minutes. For about 10 minutes now.
Avoid all of this. But as you can see,
avoid all of this.
People are going to be stuck here for as long as this continues.
They're going to be stuck here for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Authorities, helicopters up there still?
Authorities
or
and the
they
helicopters
basically
still
peel off as soon as the chase comes to an end?
Well,
Are they
as soon
headed
as the
back to
chase
the
comes to an
airport,
end.
or are they still flying like you are?
Yes, my pilot Kevin Yip is nodding yes that there are police
I'm
helicopters
really
up
losing
here
there.
as well.
Okay, we've got some video to show everybody. This is what we were talking about just a little while ago. We want to take you back to when we were following this as an active chase on I-45, headed northbound and then exiting the freeway and heading southbound once again, just to give you an idea. Hang on, I think that the driver has come out.
Yes, the driver is out. You see there, the driver is out. And it looks like something is in the driver's hand. Then the driver gets back. I know the driver has long hair, but is it a woman, Don?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a female, and she jumped back into the car.
And it seemed like she was holding something up in her hand. We don't know what she held. There are two officers, but she did get out a few steps away from this truck, holding something in her hand up to officers. And now you see the officers do intentionally have their guns drawn towards this truck and towards this woman, Alona.
Yeah, we can see that they are all, especially those officers behind the barricade there, have their guns drawn and are definitely
got
ready
out of the
for
truck,
whatever is to play out in front of them.
Back in.
We're going to show you a little bit of video on the right-hand side of your screen.
They're
This was the chase that we were talking about, going north on I-45 with all of those cruisers right behind them.
And
this was the vehicle. This is what it looked like. It was over kind of on its side as debris came flying off of it because it went down from a wheel to a rim to the frame of the vehicle. I think it was, we really thought this was pretty much on its axle for most of the time that we were following it. There were sparks flying for much of this chase. Not extremely high speeds, but certainly not slow speeds, considering the fact that there was no front wheel on the vehicle. This is the exit off of the NASA bypass road, and then very shortly after the exit here, you will see that driver pull over, make the decision to pull over, we believe. It seems like the vehicle was still running to some extent on its own, and that driver pulls over to the side, puts the window down, and is waving her arm. We now believe that this is a woman waving her arm, seeming to tell officers to stay back. That's what the movement looked like to me anyway.
And Don, I want to go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago about the position that these officers were in, and maybe having some intel that this driver is not as dangerous as we think. But you see there in the video to the right, the driver there motioning out of the car as telling officers to get back. But then that driver getting out of the car with the hands up holding something, and the officer still taking the approach to remain cautious.
Well, you just don't know. I mean, she could have, if it's a female and she got out of the car, she could have said, I have a gun on the seat. There she is out again. She's out there waving her hand again. And you just don't know what she is saying to the officers that are here.
This time it looks like
you don't
her
know
hands
she may have a gun on the seat. Right. Typically, what will happen here is that she will be asked to turn around the other way and walk backwards to them. It does. I don't. Is it a cell phone that she has in her hand? I just don't know.
Yeah,
and I do not want to push in there.
Yeah.
So she's turned around. So she's obviously obeying what they've asked. Okay. This is finally coming to an end.
All right, that person down on the ground. We can see the hands now down back behind her. Seems to be following police orders at this point. We're going to see officers go up to her in full defensive mode, get a hold of those hands and arrest this driver. And it looks like it just came to an end. They're now searching the vehicle, making sure there's not another person. And they've gotten the person up off the ground and led her over to one of their vehicles. This person is now handcuffed. And we believe that this has just come to a peaceful end.
And this chase has been going on at least the past
once again,
10 or 20 minutes
there
or so. It's going on for the past
leading police
10,
on
for the past 10 minutes, for the past
at the NASA bypass,
10
out of the car,
10 minutes
before finally
or so,
surrendering to
for the
police.
past 10
just
minutes
watched a moment
or
ago
so.
here live on ABC13.com.
It's going on
officers
for the past,
moving in as the
for
driver
the past 10
of
minutes
the car,
or so.
which we think
It's going on
is a
for
woman,
about
like a skirt
an hour
that this person was wearing.
for the last half hour. Driver is in custody after the chase.
Police demands, and finally this is coming to a safe ending as this person is being taken into police custody.
Yep, and it looks like we aren't able to see what it is that driver set down on the ground, but perhaps that's what they were holding the whole time. They're going to make sure that they search this driver and make sure that there's no other weapons that they may be holding, but good to see this peaceful end. You know, it's really it's good to see that the officers are able to take their time and use patience and convince this person that the best idea is to follow their orders and not seeing
follow
any
their
sort
orders.
of disaster sort of here play out live, because this is exactly what they want to happen. They want to be able to control the situation and calmly bring it to an end after, you know, really anytime we see a police chase, this is somebody who's put lives in danger in the public, and so they need to handle it very carefully after they get that person pulled over.
From checking things off your to-do
Don't
list
get this person pulled over.
to reminders when you're due for preventive screenings. It's helping you keep up with your health. It's 1,000
We'll be back
things,
with a commercial
big
break,
and
short
small.
break.
Sutter Health.
We are back now.
And Don, are we seeing?
We're very thankful that it ended this way.
Yep.
You know, it could have ended in many different ways, and this is the best way.
Yep.
And they are bringing a stretcher out now,
They're
as you can
bringing
see.
they're bringing a stretcher out now.
That prisoner onto a gurney and transporting that person to a hospital, which was kind of my gut feeling as this progressed.
They're putting this
once the thing came to
this woman
a stop.
into the
Right. And
stretcher.
like we've been talking about, just so much uncertainty. We don't know if this person was having a mental breakdown or a medical emergency.
Having a mental breakdown, a mental health, like
just the
having a
posture
mental
police,
health, mental
they were
breakdown,
taking and dealing with this before the driver
dealing with
surrendered.
this.
It led us to believe that they had some kind of information that the driver may not be as dangerous as they are trying to get this
might
person
be as dangerous
over
as
here to,
well.
this gurney right here to be taken to
About
the hospital
10 minutes,
or loaded up there
about
on the ambulance.
10 minutes, about 10 minutes into the chase, the driver being put in a gurney stretcher. About 20 minutes into the chase, the tire flew off.
And we don't know still.
About 30 minutes
what
into the
that
chase
was in,
later that day,
driver's hand,
it
but we know,
ended. About 40 minutes later, the
it
driver
was,
got
taken
out
away
of
by
the
police
car
immediately as
and
they,
also
took this driver into
and
custody.
it clearly
So as we watch this, Don, this is also a traffic issue playing
this
out.
is also
Thankfully,
traffic
we're not on
issue playing out.
The freeway doing this, but this is the bypass
This
road. They
is
are
the
going to start
bypass,
letting one lane
anyway.
of traffic get by.
Not
So
just
this
kids,
backup should be moving pretty quickly.
This
These are the folks who
backup
are
should be
heading
moving
toward
pretty quickly if
I-45,
they
driving
could've
west,
got back
and trying to
on
make their way over
the
toward
Clear
I-45.
Lake
It looks like they are now clear to
I-45
go.
west, but there
will
you
still be
go.
one lane blocked on that side, but hopefully
Turning
that
right,
traffic clears quickly.
making a
They've
U-turn
managed
right way,
to
but that's
U-turn
okay.
everybody that was stuck
Traffic mess
in
along
that other
NASA
direction, which
bypass
is a
road.
little bit of good news. It's going to take them a while to make their way
That's
through
gonna
all
take
of this
him
traffic. These are the folks that just exited
that's gonna take
off
him.
of I-45
That's gonna take a while.
headed south.
What at
And
45
so this is where
south.
we are seeing
10 minutes,
the
an
biggest
hour, 10
backup
minutes,
right now,
about
right, Don?
an hour 45.
That's right. And
An
it
hour
looks as though
45,
that traffic that's coming up
40
from
to
the NASA Clear
45
Lake area
minutes,
is free to go.
an
Couple
hour,
lanes
20
blocked
minutes.
over here. Not a big deal, but heading off of 45, the Gulf Freeway, the NASA bypass
Heading off at
exit is
45
blocked.
Gulf
You'll have to
Freeway.
use another exit, maybe perhaps El Dorado or Clear Lake Boulevard.
Maybe
All right,
El
well, we're
Dorado
gonna be working on
or
this, trying to figure
Clear
out
Lake
what led up
Boulevard.
to all of this and sort
And
of
then
give you
it's
some
some
resolution.
sort
So
of.
stay with ABC13.com and join us on Eyewitness News tonight at 10. We will be able to have
And
a
what
full
happened
breakdown of this.
when the
Our
wild
team will
chase.
be working very hard
That
between
was.
now and then to try to get the backstory and get a little
And
bit
we'll
more
get it
information
more
about what is
information,
going on
more
here.
information,
In the
and we'll
meantime,
keep you
Don, we certainly appreciate the live
more
coverage from up
more
above in
information,
Sky I-13.
and we'll
Excellent
give them more
job. Just
information,
how we
and
want
we'll
something
keep you
like this to end, Don.
and
We
we'll
certainly
keep you
appreciate
and
it.
we will keep
And,
you updated
Chauncey, we're gonna wrap it up.
on what happened when the wild chase that was. So we'll keep you updated
like you said, best case
for the
scenario, and
internet and update the driver of that Nissan truck.
what happened here and the backstory and how
Frontier, the driver of that truck,
on Eyewitness News
kept going. The tire, the vehicle was not on fire. And the update as well. We'll give you information. We gave you already the information. So anyway, be sure, make sure, check out this video. Pops up here. And this my channel. Pops up here. And all of the videos pops up here. Now see you guys in the next video later on tonight. Bye guys. Have a great rest of your day.